Hey, fourth graders, there's Mr. Crowell. I'm back for lesson 10, and we are reading, we'll probably end up finishing reading the Escape from Pompeii story. It is in your text collection book. Actually, it is going to be on the printed, in the packet, the printed version that we sent you in the packet. So if you go ahead and get those out and get ready for that, that'd be awesome. We're going to start on page 46, and I realize, boys and girls, a little disclaimer, which is kind of this is me saying, hey, I read page 46 on lesson 9. I was supposed to stop at 45, but I accidentally read 46, so you get a double dose of 46, so we're going to read 46 again. All right? Sounds good. So today, while we're reading 46 through 54, we're going to finish the story, Escape from Pompeii. I want you to track, I want you to read, I want you to do your best, and we're going to stop. We've got 3 words today in our vocabulary for lesson 10: quivered, anxious, desperately. And then we've got some assignments that we're going to have you do to finish up lesson 10. Okay, thumbs up, ready to go? All right. You should be on page 46. It would look something like this. So I'm going to try, and I normally have on the other side, I've had the reader. I can't get the reader. It's not available for me right now, so I'm going to go old-fashioned. I'm going to use the book, and I'm going to read from the book, and I think it'll work. Let's give it a try. So page 46, right up there at the very top. Then something happened. The stone steps creaked, the boards began to rattle, and the building quivered. Props fell to the stage, and scenery split. Tranio's father froze to the spot. Everyone was silent. But one by one, the actors began to relax. Rumble down, tumble down, here we go again, they chanted. They were thinking like, this is no big deal. So one of our vocabulary words is quivered. And we have right here, in our second sentence here, something began to happen. The stone steps creaked, the boards began, and the building quivered. You're thinking, well, Mr. Crowell, what is quivered? Quivered is, basically, is to shake. So we're going to put the word shake up here. When you quiver, you are shaking. So if you're a quiver in fear, you are shaking in fear. So quiver is to shake. So at that point, when they heard that rumbling, they began, or the building quivered. It wasn't people, it was the building. So the building was shaking. Okay. So here we have some shaking going on, and we've got people kind of looking around, and things are falling. Let's go to page 47, which is right over here. Nothing to fear, everybody, called Tranio's father. Back to rehearsal, please. The actors fastened their masks and carried on as if nothing had happened. But Tranio's wiggled through the curtain and ran down the street. He ran as fast as he could to Livia's house. Everyone was shouting, arguing, carrying belongings outside to safety. Livia, he called. Liv, where are you? The bakery was empty. Loaves lay scattered on the floor. The oven blazed, and the small donkey, turning the grain, brayed and jumped nervously again against its chain. Tranio, Livia leapt down the stairs. Father's chasing our goat through the market. The poor old thing bolted when the ground began to grumble. You'd have died laughing. Come on. Flushed and excited, the 2 children ran hand in hand into the dusty streets. And here we have the goat. And anyway, so things are happening. There might be a eruption going on. Let's see, page 48. Right up here. But as they ran, the sky began to darken, and a thick cloud drifted slowly overhead. Livia turned to Tranio. What are the seagulls flying toward the woods? They're going the wrong way. A small bird in a hanging cage chirped frantically, trapped behind its bars, as the air began to fill with ash. Livia coughed. Tranio, perhaps we should go back. Tranio grabbed her hand. We can't go back. The dust is too thick. Quick, the harbor. Run, just run. Boats were bobbing in the choppy water as men began to untie lines from their moorings. No one noticed 2 small children climb up the narrow plank of a small Greek cargo ship and hide beneath a pile of colored rugs. Dusty and tired in their hiding place, they soon fell asleep. There they are over here in their colored rugs. But as they slept, the anxious captain untied his boat. Those of you who are keeping track of vocabulary words, yes, you heard anxious. There it is. Anxious is right on the board. Anxious, you say, Mr. Crowell, what is anxious? Well, basically, if you're anxious, you are worried. Okay? And if you're worried, you are nervous, you're worried, you're anxious, something's about to happen. So in this case, we have a anxious captain. So that would be a nervous captain. Untied his boat. He sensed that the winds had changed direction and the air was uncomfortably hot. The sea began to churn and pull back from the shore. When Tranio and Olivia woke and looked out, they were horrified. Pompeii was getting further and further away. The sky was now thick with pumice and black with ash. Tranio, I can't breathe, in the back of my throat. As she spoke, Olivia started to choke. The children could hear dogs barking and people's muffled screams as they ran gasping for air with rags covering their mouths or pillows over their heads. Some people fell to the grumbling, trembling ground. This does not look good. Things are terrible, or things are happening. And we see right there, they're in the boats, and they're looking back, and we see the ash and pumice coming down. So, that is page 49. Let's turn to page 50. Ooh, my gosh, page 50, we see an eruption. Let's see, what volcano? You say Vesuvius? You are right, Mount Vesuvius is erupting. Here we see the magma coming out. We see all the ash and pumice being sprayed out and steam. And we see that lava flowing down, hurtling toward Pompeii. Does not look good. Let's go over here to 51. And then, in one terrible, endless moment, they heard mighty Mount Vesuvius roar. Its top exploded in a scream, and flames ripped upward to the sky. A massive cloud of silver ash rose to the heavens, twisting and bubbling in all directions until everything was in total darkness. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. Streams of molten liquid flowed in fast rivers down the mountain slopes and covered a nearby town. The walls, streets, and gardens of their beloved Pompeii disappeared beneath a blanket of ash and stones. Before their very eyes, everything and everyone they had ever loved was destroyed. It's very sad. Tranio and Lavia held each other desperately. Ding, ding, ding. Vocabulary word. When the streaming lava reached the sea itself. So desperately is it's an action, and it's kind of one that is kind of a frantic. It's very quick. You're desperate to do something. You're frantic to do it. You're quick to do it. Well, they're hugging very desperately, very quickly, very frantically together as they look out and see this terrible thing happening. The water began to swell against the sides of the boat as it moved slowly out to safety. They had left just in time. Soon the sea sank back with the shore, and even the fish were stranded there. Crazy. Page 52, please. 52. Should look like this over here. Top of page 52. Many years passed, and the mountain grew cool and still. At first, its slopes were burnt and barren, but in time, plants began to grow as volcanic soil brought forth its riches once more. Most people have forgotten the buried city. An old man and woman stood in the shade of an orange tree and laid flowers there. Long ago, they had been rescued by a kind captain of a Greek cargo ship, and he had raised them as his own. They were Tranio and Lavia, saying farewell to those buried under the ash beneath their feet. And we see them as older people laying their flowers, and we see down here that Pompeii being buried, and the people who are also buried with them as well. We won't forget you, they whispered. Would anyone ever find their beloved Pompeii? They wondered. Would anyone ever see its splendid streets? Perhaps, perhaps not. Tranio and Lavia walked back to their small house beside the orange grove. For the rest of their lives, they would carry a deep sorrow within their hearts. Page 53. Page 54, last page of Escape from Pompeii. The story of Pompeii. Here we see a graphic feature, a text feature. We have a little map. We see Pompeii right there. Story of Pompeii. Before eruption of Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii was a busy, beautiful Roman city where about 15,000 people lived. In those days, during the ancient Roman Empire, Vesuvius appeared green and peaceful. But on August 24th, in AD 79, a great mushroom-shaped cloud rose from its top, and to everyone's surprise, a volcano began to erupt. In nearby Pompeii, day became as dark as night. Showers of ash and stone fell, covering streets and houses. Within a few hours, rooftops started to collapse, and many people fled. The next morning, clouds of poisonous gases and ash poured down from the volcano, suffocating those who had stayed behind. When the dust had settled, Pompeii and its lovely surroundings, including the neighboring city of Herculaneum, had disappeared beneath a blanket of ash, pumice, and lava. The city had become like Sleeping Beauty's castle. Trees and plants grew over it. As time passed, people remembered the city of Pompeii, but they forgot exactly where it had been. Pompeii slept for nearly 1,700 years until in 1748, excavators, people who were digging and looking for ancient artifacts, began to find its remains. Temples, theaters, bath shops, and beautifully painted houses were uncovered, along with skeletons of the victims, sometimes in family groups. Soon Pompeii became famous and people came from far and wide to see it. They were amazed at what they saw. In 1863, the archaeologist Giuseppe Fiore decided to try an experiment. He noticed that where a body had lain in the ash, it had left hollows in the shape of the body that had once been there. He poured plaster into one of the body space and waited for it to set. When the ashes around it were removed, he found that he was left with the plaster cast in the exact shape of the victim's body. Soon, then, many casts have been made and can be seen in Pompeii, sad reminders of the city's fate. Vesuvius has not erupted since March 1944, but the volcano is not dead, only sleeping. Like all volcanoes, it has given the land around it rich soil that is easy to farm. As in Roman times, the people of the modern day of Italy have built their homes there, and towns and villages crowd the shores of the Bay of Naples. One day Vesuvius will erupt again, but now, with modern scientific instruments checking the volcano each day, it is hoped that no more lives will be lost. Pompeii is not yet fully excavated, but its uncovered remains help us see what a Roman city really looked like and how the Romans lived, worked, and played. The end. So very interesting, boys and girls, to see a story, fictional story about the people and city of Pompeii and the terrible, tragic consequences of that eruption from Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. So I want to thank you very much for listening to me and following me. Good job. Couldn't be happier. Nice job. Going over also our assignments. Before I forget, thank you, Mr. Crowell. Here we go. Make sure that you have your Reader's Writer's Journal just like that. Assignments are 284 for the reading response to reading. 284. It will be right here on page 284. Up here is our 3 anxious, desperately, and quivered sentences up here. Extra credit if you want to write those sentences. But our main assignment is here. Directions. Reread pages 46 to 54 of Escape from Pompeii. Describe Trenio's character traits using his own thoughts, words, and actions to support your description. How do these traits support his point of view? How did he see? How did he see this happen? His point of view. Use details from the text to support your answer. So the writer's right there. Again, if you need longer, more piece of paper, use a lined piece of paper, or write very small. That'll work too. And then our next assignment, page 285, is writing. It is right next door, 285, very top. Conduct research and then write to inform readers about the events of Pompeii. Use linking words and phrases to connect ideas. Use sequence charts with sequence of events, charts with sections for beginning, middle, and end to organize information from your KWA charts in time order. Revisit the text to look at your ideas. We won't have those charts, your KWL charts, but you do have your sequence of events, kind of what happened at the beginning, what happened at the middle, what happened at the end, all in sequence. Sequence of events, details, details. There we go. And so again, if you need more paper, you will be able to write it there. Boys and girls, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. We wrapped up Escape from Pompeii, and I hope to see you back with another lesson. Have a great evening. We'll see you. Adios.